what I am doing right now is basically juggling between the OPD, IPD, and intensive care patients of COVID-19 and other sick patients. I have been involved with the care of COVID-19 patients since the early March, precisely 3rd of March 2020. And so by now I have personally seen about 100 patients of COVID-19. Most of the patients have recovered, others are undergoing treatment and would recover soon. The situation is getting intense by the day, and I'm worried that we haven't reached the peak yet. So it is going to get worse before it gets better.
To say we have very few testing done or something like that, because that is the main worry with.
Not really. It's I mean, testings have been done reasonably as compared to the other countries. We have fared well as compared to Italy or England. We are doing more tests. We are not maybe not doing as much as US is doing, but we are doing fairly. Most of the category patients are being tested, and the lockdown and all strategies have also been as per the standard guidelines. And I wouldn't say any delay has happened, but it's just that we are too much in number. And second problem is this disease is too infectious. It doesn't give you a margin of error. Sometimes there are few diseases which gives you a certain margin of error, like influenza. Even if you have come in contact with somebody, it's not 100% that you would get it. But with this disease, because we do not have any previous immunity, so it doesn't give you a margin of error. One little mistake here and there and you get it.
Yes, that it spreads very fast also.
It spreads very fast.
Yeah. So now we are still talking about the vaccine, but till vaccine arrives, are we susceptible to this virus?
Yes. So whole of the population is susceptible. And I see a lot of people talking about herd immunity. So herd immunity comes at a cost. Herd immunity happens only when you have about 60% of population already getting infected. And 60% population getting infected is a huge number. Even if our mortality rates are 1% or 2%, still the numbers are going to be too much and it's going to overwhelm our systems. So whenever we are handling any epidemic, there's two strategies we work on. One is flattening the curve and raising the bar. So flattening the curve is that, what we did with lockdown, stagger the cases so that the healthcare system can handle it. Second is raising the bar. So we have to optimize our health resources, whatever we have. So like government has made strategies of home isolation, which I think is a good idea, because 80% of the patients can be treated at home without burdening the healthcare system. Then you have to, go more systematic, where, where would you keep more sick patients, where you could keep the more moderately sick patients. And basically with the healthcare providers also, some strategy has to be identified so that all the people who have done their MBBS can contribute in the care of the patients.
You're talking about herd immunity. Do you see some kind of strategy where the government also is probably heading towards encouraging herd immunity? Because we find that the earlier understanding was the quarantine should be about 14 days. Then you test again. And if it is negative, also you still remain in the quarantine till further period. But we are told that now, after the test is negative following the quarantine, then you are allowed to go. I mean, can you explain about this thing? Some confusion is there.
Yes. So what is it is an ever-changing dynamics with COVID-19, and we have also done. We would test the patient twice negative and then send home with 2 weeks of strict quarantine, and then we allow them to come to the normal cycle. That was happening. This was basically to reduce the transmission. But now the results came in that sometimes the COVID test, even if it is positive, the throat swab is coming positive in the later part of the illness, like after 14 days, it is not infectious because the virus does not grow into the viral culture. So main infective period is about from the start of the infection to about 10-11 days. So it is this step has been taken just to optimize the resources. And I think practically we are reducing the risk to a greater extent. May not be zero, but yes, we're reducing it by 99%.
So this is it a risk that we're taking, or it's safe enough to suggest this type of?
Now what we are saying is that it seems safe enough, and but it never be, I mean, there is practically it is safe enough. Theoretically it can never be safe enough, but you know, with so many patients, we can't be one COVID patient, you know, once we would be quarantined. Earlier the patient were testing positive till 3 weeks, and then 2 more weeks, so that takes away 5 weeks. And imagine if there is a healthcare worker who gets infected, and then he goes out of the work for 5 weeks, the other people are getting overburdened. So basically, just to this has been done to adjust to the current prevailing conditions.
So right now our country is, like you were saying, so huge, and we find that the facilities even for quarantine are becoming overstretched. And do you foresee any real big problem when you say if the curve rises further, the spike goes up?
Yes, I am really concerned on that. That's my biggest worry, because as we can't stay in indefinite lockdown, and people have an urge to move, even if the government wants them to be under quarantine, and then there are financial backfalls of long-term quarantine, that everything is there. So practically, if we think, we'll have to allow some movements, and with these movements coming, and what I have noticed in the last 1 week, the numbers are increasing exponentially. Now the workers going back to their native places, and most of them are infected. Earlier, this disease was basically limited to the urbans and metros, be it Delhi, be it Bombay, or be it Calcutta. Now it is going to the rural India, and we are heading for a trouble for sure.
That's very, very alarming, you know, because you find that in rural areas, the health infrastructure is very, very weak. So even here in Nagaland today, we have had the 4th case positive. So we now have total 4. And
so I would say you are in a very, very better place. Keep it like this. When the numbers are small, you can really do a good contact tracing. You can keep them quarantined for a longer time. So, you know, like in whole of the Nagar, unfortunately, there are 4 cases. And the place where I am sitting, in the OPD, 4 or 5 positive patients walk every day.
Okay, that's quite frightening.
That it is.
We have most of these, all of these 4 are the people who have returned from other states. So again, around about almost 4,000 have come. They're expecting another 15,000. So we do not know, because they all.
So if their numbers are like 4,000, 15,000, or 16,000, my advice would, once you import the infection, there is a good opportunity to hold it there. Hold it there. Quarantine for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, wherever, whatever it takes. Test anybody. I mean, if possible, I mean, if we had the resources, we would test each and every person. Test them twice. Test them once they come, and then quarantine for 2 weeks, and test them when they are released. That is probably the for short ways. But you know, we have our own limitations of number of kits available, and the healthcare workers available. Because if you're testing 14,000 people, each laboratory can test maximum from 200 to 400 per day. So you know how many laboratories would be required, and this whole testing process would be stretched over 2 weeks.
We have one BSL-3 laboratory which has been recently operational. It has a capacity of about 70. So the other one is coming up in Dimapur, the BSL-2. But the thing is, now with all the people rushing back home, I think, like you were saying, if everybody is to undergo testing, I think that will be a huge challenge, you know, because as you know, whether compulsory testing, unless the government warrants, and there's also a policy, you know, you will quarantine for 14 days, see whether they have these symptoms, or the other side, as soon as they come, you have them tested. So which of these 2 you think should be advised?
For sure, you know, theoretically, if I advise them, then there should be 2 tests. One is when they come, and once when they are relieved from the quarantine, because there are few patients who may be secreting the virus for a little longer than 2 weeks. So, for those patients, you can keep them for a longer quarantine. And if there is, I mean, this is just absolutely a personal opinion, which I say, if we do not have that much of testing capacities, honest quarantine, maybe for 3 weeks. Honest
3 weeks.
quarantine. Nobody mixes up with the local population. And honest, I mean that, nobody, no intermixing. The way the food is served, the way their waste is handled, they have to be, it has to be looked into it's like a war-like situation, that how you would do it.
Very, very minute details. I think
very minute details.
Yeah, because that also depends on the preparedness of the authorities. Because now, since lockdown was suddenly announced, everybody was caught unprepared, and everybody is rushing. We taking our own decisions with our own understanding. So we can't afford to miss a step anywhere. No, this is a very serious, like you were saying.
Absolutely. I think we are now 2 months into this. We should be wise enough. We got enough time to plan. That's what I feel. And this whole epidemic will definitely have exposed our weaknesses, and hopefully we'll be better prepared for something which may come in future. We'll have to look health from, below downwards. Otherwise, I mean, we'll have to make things at grassroots level, at a primary healthcare level, that if somebody sick comes, what do you do at a primary healthcare level? Right now, we know what is to be done in a tertiary hospital. But if a patient walks into a PHC, where would you isolate? How would you test them? Where would you give them masks? Where do you sanitize their hands? How do you do your contact tracing? And, for example, a village gets an infection. How self-sufficient are they? What are the areas where they would quarantine the people who are coming from outside? And does the general public have an idea of a quarantine? Do they have an idea of hygiene, coughing etiquettes, sneezing? I think what I believe is the whole silver lining in the whole process is that it has educated us about a lot of things.
Right. Now, coming to those people who are returning back, say, for instance, if somebody is coming from Delhi, if they're to board a train, wouldn't be practical that the person has to first have test, then only after the person is, let's say, proved to be negative, allowed to travel? Or do you think that is a bit
the numbers are too huge, sir? As I said, as any lab cannot test more than 200, 300 or 400 samples in a day. And these migrants who are coming, they're huge in numbers. So if everybody is to be tested, some people may have to wait for a month, and how restless they would grow. Secondly, if somebody has tested negative today, there is no guarantee that in 48 hours when they will reach their destination, they'll not catch the infection and then manifest after 2 weeks.
So either way, it's not a very easy scenario. You can't say it's a win-win. It's both ways, almost like a lose-lose situation. But
I think we should make best of what is available. Those who come, they have to come. Obviously, it's their plight. They have to reach homes. But when they have waited so long and there is a serious threat of infection coming, what I would suggest is that at every village level there is always a school, and all the schools are now empty. There is a lockdown. Children are not coming to the school. Use school as a quarantine area, and a doctor from the district or somebody who can give easy understandable instructions to the staff who's posted in that area, that this is to be done, how you have to give them food, what is to be done, all those things. I think then still we can contain it to some extent.
Presently we have almost 1.4 or 5 lakh positive cases. Of course, some have recovered. What do you see in the next few weeks or months? What could possibly be the number? I mean, just guess.
Well, I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but the numbers could be like crossing 1 million.
10 lakhs.
Crossing 1 million in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow, that's. What do you think of these testing kits? I mean, are there some reliable machines that, say, for example, we are in media, if we would like to take one just for the sake of our people moving around, would you advise that idea of purchasing this testing kits or whatever is a machine?
So the tests are two types. One is an antibody test and one is an antigen test. What antigen means, you catch the bug, what is causing, an antibody that you try to detect the response of the body. So most of the tests which we are doing are antigen tests, which is an RT-PCR based test. So most of the RT-PCR tests are good sensitivity and specificity, but we have to understand that, you know, the throat swab test we do is, it can be, if the sample is not taken properly, or even if the patient does have a low viral load, it can be negative in about 20% of the people, even the person is having a disease. And there are few scattered cases of being false positive also. So most of the kits which are used for RT-PCR are reasonable. But though, if we're talking about rapid kits, the antibody kits, I have not come across any reliable antibody fast kit which has come across. We tested few were given by some of the manufacturers to see whether they fare well. We didn't find it. Same is the situation with ICMR.
Okay. So you're still in the lab. It appears that you're in the office at work. Yeah.
I am at work, and usually because right now I'm alone in my room. So I am reasonably free. Otherwise, I have to wear an N95 over a visor and a gown more. So that's how I walk like a robot and I look like a robot for the last 2.5 months.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been nice talking to you, and we wish you that you'll continue, and hope you keep well, so that you can render your services. And
thank you so much. And I also know that this whole situation would definitely get better. It's going to take time, and it's not going to be the end of the world. We shall overcome. This too shall be fine, and we'll meet in good times.
Sure, we'll do that. Thank you so much, Dr. Sushila. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.